As a child, I really loved playing Sonic the Hedgehog games on the Sega Mega Drive. Sadly, when nostalgia hit me one evening, I found our console broke when we moved house, meaning my mom threw it out with all the old games, so I decided to search eBay for a pre-owned Mega Drive. I stumbled across one at a rather cheap price of £6, including delivery. The description claimed that it also came with Sonic 1, yet on closer inspection, the cartridge's paper seemed to have been torn off with a label crudely placed on the front, written in a scrawled script. I thought nothing of it and decided to bid on it. Weirdly, despite it having a day to go, I immediately won the item. I proceeded to payment, left my feedback, and it arrived within 3 days. The Mega Drive was in surprisingly good condition for the price, almost brand new sand-smudged fingerprints. I blew into the labeled cartridge, old habits die hard, you see, and inserted it into the cartridge slot. The TV screen flickered on. The familiar image of Sega logo faded in left to right, but instead of the joyous chorus, there was a cacophonic blast of static, which lasted far longer than it should have done. But this is where things got weirder. The title screen was polluted, black sludge pouring into the sea, with dark skies and lightning. The music was slower, a dissonant minor key, and when Sonic popped out of the marquee, he looked genuinely terrified and afraid. I thought this must have been some sort of hack, until I hit the start button. I saw Robotnik, in graphics far more realistic than possible for the time, holding a lifelike rabbit by the ears. He looked full of malice and hatred. His pince-nez glasses glittered as he revealed in his other hand a machete. He held it up to the defenseless animal's throat and slit it, blood pouring out like a fountain. Robotnik began to laugh, but it was almost like he was in the room with me. It was so realistic. The game then went to Green Hill Zone, where the music was replaced with a low buzzing drone. The background looked just like it did on the title screen, and again Sonic looked visibly shaken. His skin was paler, and he appeared to shake with fear. On running, he began to cry. Nevertheless, I decided to play through as normal, just to see if this was some sort of cruel joke. I ended up losing rings against the Buzz Bomber. The noise on losing rings was a harsh ringing. I heard Robotnik chortle once more, his face flashing in the stormy background. Sonic hit the floor. I was unable to control him at this point, as the Buzz Bomber began to descend on Sonic's helpless body. The Buzz Bomber literally stabbed Sonic, and all I could hear was tortured screams. I couldn't take my eyes off the crudely animated sprites of Sonic, writhing in pain as the Buzz Bomber rammed into him. This went on for a good 30 seconds before the Buzz Bomber flew off, leaving a bloodied Sonic corpse behind. The scream subsided as the screen faded to black. I heard incredibly deep murmurings in some sort of weird language, maybe Japanese or Korean. Again, the hyper-realistic Dr. Robotnik faded into view again, but this time he was holding an even more realistic Sonic by the head. Sonic was crying, begging for mercy, sheer terror in his cries, but this time Robotnik didn't have a knife. He literally broke Sonic's neck, the sound reverberating, and I was treated to the sight of Robotnik, kicking the defenseless corpse of Sonic the Hedgehog, blood flying everywhere, Sonic's spine breaking off, while all the time this distorted sound of Robotnik's laughter and Sonic's screaming played. A message appeared in Japanese with the selection yes or no. I chose yes. Somehow driven to continue, I peered back in Green Hill Zone, but this time there were graves where the totem poles were. Sonic was even more afraid, looking directly at the screen as if begging me not to continue, but I felt I had to. I continued through the game, of which its layout hasn't been changed. The iconic loop-de-loop was there, the tunnel Sonic expanded out, everything was the same, but decaying and full of pollution. I reached the end of the level. However, it was the iconic boss level, you know, with the wrecking ball. Only when a Robotnik appeared, there was a blast of loud, cacophonous synth sound. Robotnik's face was contorted with sheer disgust for Sonic the Hedgehog, and before I even had a chance to talk, Robotnik's wrecking ball slammed into Sonic, crushed him again against the side of the screen. Once more the screams played. but the screen began to glitch horrifically and turned gray, almost into a television static. Before I had a chance to hit the power button and take out the cartridge, I heard a very clearly in-deep voice. "This was your fault, and your fault alone." I looked at the television, and the hyper-realistic Robotnik face from before occupied the entire screen. The words "Game Over" flashed over his face as I saw Sonic's hyper-realistic carcass fall and land on top of the letters, sliding off and hitting the floor. All you could hear was Sonic's whimpering and crying and asking, "Why did you do this? Why?" I probably ripped the game out of the console, threw them both straight into the garbage. To this day, I've never seen that eBay seller online again. My computer returned 404s of the searching in history, and anyone I asked on eBay forums claimed the user never existed in the first place.